I'm Tim Hollis. I'm an author and an editor and a historian, and I'm the owner, the curator, the founder of this museum that we're sitting in. I just call it the Hollis Museum. Originally, when I first started it, I called it the Hollis Cartoon Museum, but it expanded so far beyond that it doesn't really have a name now. My parents were the type of people who liked to save everything they could. My mom was real great at documenting things. I mean, she would save every drawing I did, everything I wrote. She would put the date on it. Sometimes I think she actually put the date that she found it. I might have written it 6 months earlier, but she would save things and put the date on them. So I just naturally came from a family who saved things. I remember my dad telling me that when I was born, and when the doctor came in and told him that his wife had had a son, he said that from that point he started dreading the day that I was going to want him to play baseball with me or go fishing, because he hated that kind of thing. And he was so relieved when I turned out not to be a normal kid and didn't want to do that kind of stuff. I wanted to sit at my desk and write. I wanted to build these crazy things out in the woods like that. So I was a good fit for the family that I was born into, let me put it that way. When I first started collecting, it was to preserve the memories of my own childhood. As the museum grew, I discovered that I was not only preserving my memories, but everyone else's too. Visitors come in groups. I'd say that, probably about 50 or 100 people a year. Some years are busier than others. Word of mouth gets around. People will come as part of a group, and then they'll go home and tell their friends about it, and the next thing I know, they're bringing them. So I really haven't even kept a count of how many people come each year. Sometimes it's easy for me to forget that most people don't live with the memory of their entire life around them the way I do, because not only in the museum, but the house still has the same furniture in it that I grew up with, the same floor coverings that I grew up with, so I can't really forget my past. I'm surrounded with it all the time. People will just pick up on the oddest things, the different games, the coloring books. But when they see something that they used to have, they just get so excited over it. And it's always new to me to see what they're going to pick out. I try not to direct people to anything in particular. I let them go through it and see what catches their eye. And it's as entertaining for me to watch people doing as it is for them to see it. I can't say that I'm creeped out by anything in the museum. They creep out other people. I've had several people bring kids in who have clown phobias. But no, I can't say that any of it's creepy to me.
Okay.
I might be a little creepy to people. Hello, kids. Most of the people that I knew as a kid, I never see anymore. When I was in school, everyone thought I was the very strange kid that no one would have anything to do with. And knowing how time has progressed, those are always the kids that are the dangerous ones now, And so I've always said that if I had really known how people felt about me, I could have used it to my advantage. And I could have had everyone terrified of me. You think I'm strange, huh? I'm not strange. I'll show you strange. As a kid, I was doing the same thing. I tell people, you wouldn't believe that when I was 9 years old, I was writing letters to companies trying to preserve my memories of things when I was 3 years old, which was only 6 years earlier. But to me, it was important to preserve the memory of those characters or whatever it was. I've just always done that. And of course, as I grew older, the shadow that fell over the family is that Alzheimer's runs in my family. My grandmother had it, and my mother had it. And so I guess that maybe the idea of preserving memories became more of an obsession with me because I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose my own memory. And it very well could happen. Of course, my dad died at age 65 with melanoma, so melanoma may get me before the Alzheimer's does. I have no heirs of any sort. I've got to find some sort of an entity that's willing to accept it as a museum. There are places that would love for everything to be sold off and them get the money for it, but that's not really what I want to happen to it, because I've spent all these years. I've spent 30 already, and I hope that I will have spent over 50 years by the time I'm dead and gone. But I've spent all of that time organizing this collection, and I would much prefer that it remain as a museum, if not in this facility, at least to be moved to some other city or some other state and kept intact. There are 3 quotes that I can give you from people who are related to stuff that's in the museum, and I would say that my philosophy would be a combination of those 3 put together. One of them was the great Walt Kelly, the cartoonist behind the Pogo comic strip. He had a saying that he would use, and that was, don't take life too serious. It ain't no how permanent. That was one of them. Jim Henson, the great guy behind the Muppets. After he died, his children found a letter that he had written and sealed in his desk to be opened after he was dead. And one of the things that he had to say in that was that when I'm gone, I hope that I have left the world a little better than it was when I got here. The 3rd quote came from Bob Hope when someone asked him how he wanted to be remembered when he was gone. And he said, "It doesn't really matter to me how people remember me after I'm gone, just as long as they don't say, 'Who was he?'" I think my philosophy would be the combination of those 3 put together. I like to tell people that if they want to know why I never got married and things like that, I say, look, in the entire world, there is only one person that you absolutely, positively have to spend every moment of your life with, and that's yourself. And if you're not happy spending time with yourself, you're never going to be happy spending it with anyone else. You don't have a choice whether to spend time with yourself or not. You do have a choice whether to spend it with other people. That's all, folks.